if you are looking to get into real estate, what I'm going to tell you is that you need to sit down and have a conversation with at least 3 realtors. Okay? Hello, welcome to Closing Chapters, Everyday Real Estate Tales. I'm your host, Brittany Fry. I'm a realtor, I'm a military wife, and I'm a mom. Join me and come transaction by transaction throughout my real estate career starting back in 2016 to hear about the highs, the lows, and the unexpected turns along the way through all of my customers. It's going to be a crazy ride, you guys. I am so excited to share the past, the current, and then what's coming in the future. Hang tight for the ride. Join me about being a realtor, a military spouse, and a mom. Can't wait to see you there. Hey friends, welcome back. So, you're a military spouse and you're really curious about getting into real estate. You think it would be fun to sell some houses, help some friends, and honestly, to have a flexible career. Can you do it? Sure, absolutely. But the long answer is it's not easy. This is really hard work. Real estate is a relationship business, and your whole goal and job is to be building relationships and nourishing them everywhere you go, to be a vital part of your community, to stay on top of any new laws and regulations going on, to know all the documentations and forms, to learn about the different types of loans that are out there, what that means for housing, what would qualify for each type of loan, how to guide your client, how to negotiate for your client. It's not just showing a house every once in a while or putting a sign in the yard. There's a lot more work that goes into it on the back end. Now, I'm not saying that you're not qualified, because I am a military spouse and I am 100% qualified and I love this career. I simply want you to know that it's not a cakewalk. I started this career as a military spouse. To boot, I started this career right after we got married, when my husband deployed. So that was my beginning, was being at home alone as a military spouse. We didn't have children at the time, and trying to figure out this world of real estate. And honestly, it gave me a lot of time to get involved and to be a part of the community and to have lunches with people multiple times a week, to go out to dinner with somebody and learn something new, right? So my point is if you are willing to build relationships and stay on top of the continuing education, stay involved in your community, then you absolutely can be successful in real estate, even if you have to move frequently. Since 2019, we moved from South Carolina to South Dakota, back to South Carolina, to Missouri, to Tennessee, and to North Carolina. We've made 5 moves in less than 5 years. Now, the bulk of that happened in a 1.5 years' time. But I just want you to know, you can be successful throughout all of that. I had the blessing of having a lot of deals in my pipeline, meaning I had business already set up or already under contract and going through the process when we started all those moves. So that carried me over for quite a while. And then I started working with referrals, meaning if I knew somebody that needed a realtor wherever they were going, whether they were buying or selling, then I could get them hooked up with that person. And then I would get a referral fee off of that, which also kept me afloat a little bit. And then ultimately, once I got to Tennessee, I had to start over, okay? We had switched branches of the military. We went from Air Force to Army. We were in a new state, a new base, and there was no crossover whatsoever. Now, funny story, we actually did have somebody from Shaw Air Force Base that we knew that moved from Sumter to Fort Campbell, and he was at the one small unit of Air Force at Fort Campbell. So that was really cool, but that didn't happen when we first got there. So we were going in knowing nobody and starting over completely, and I had to rebuild all of those relationships, right? Now, the other big thing is you need to think outside the box. As a military spouse, the one thing that you can bank on is change, moving. You, your friends, other people in the military, right? So if you are willing to play it smart and really dive in and get relationships in lots of different areas, especially with agents in areas at different bases, you can be successful wherever you go. Think about this. I have a friend back from Sumter. We were both stationed, our husbands were both stationed at Shaw Air Force Base, okay? She moved from Sumter, South Carolina to Alaska, got a real estate license there, did a jam-up job. 4 years later, moved to Texas, and now she's in the Wichita Falls area, and she's doing a jam-up job there. Now, she probably had relationships in all those different areas, but let's just say, theoretically speaking, we're going to assume she did. So as a military spouse with her husband in the Air Force, she made the choice to find agent relationships and contacts near any and all Air Force bases. And then even more specifically, near bases that would have a unit that her husband would be in, so that she would understand and know and have a connection, right? So everywhere she went, she already knew people or had connections in these different areas. How long do you think it took her to get up and running? I can tell you at both places, it took her less than 3 months to get her first transaction under her belt once she made that move. It's amazing. Now, my transition was not like that. I had to completely start over fresh, and it took me a while. And part of that's because Air Force and Army are not the same. So any relationships that I had with the Air Force weren't necessarily going to carry me over into the Army world. So I had to regroup and make new relationships and get on that bandwagon. And I was a new mom. So my priority was to be at home with my 10-month-old. And she didn't have anywhere to go. Sometimes I had a babysitter, sometimes I didn't. She wasn't in preschool yet, right? So there's a lot of things going to be very different. So when I say that, I want to say that because you need to understand everybody's pace is different. So if you want to get into real estate, you cannot compare yourself to the next person beside you. When my husband was in Korea for a year and I had already been licensed for a few years, I was burning rubber. I did 36 transactions when my average was maybe 15 to 25, depending on the year. I made over 6 figures in less than 6 months. And in Sumter, South Carolina, that says a lot. The price point, even back then, was way lower than most areas around. So my average deal was about $150,000. Sometimes I would get into the low 200s. I had one $425,000 transaction. That was the highest one that I ever sold in South Carolina. During that time, the pricing was very different. So I had to hustle and bustle quite a bit to make all that happen. Now, the reality is I'm not doing 36 transactions a year. Can I still make 6 figures? Yeah, I can. But that's because the price points are higher and everything else kind of follows suit. Now, that also means that 6 figures doesn't carry me as far as it used to either. So there's a lot of differences there. But my point is you have to pay attention to your scenario. Are you a single spouse? Single as in like just you at home. You don't have kiddos. Is it just you and your spouse? Then sure, you've got time, you've got space, you can get involved. You can probably hit the ground running pretty darn fast. But if you are at home and you've got your kiddos under tow and you've got a lot going on, just don't burden yourself with these huge expectations that you have to just hit the ground and kill it, right? Not to say that you can't, because there are plenty of people that have, but you've got to have a support system and you have to have systems in place to be able to do that. And the more in tune you are with your area and the more contacts you already have, a lot of that can change, right? So if you are looking to get into real estate, what I'm going to tell you is that you need to sit down and have a conversation with at least 3 realtors, okay? And tell them that you need the honest truth. How hard was it to get started, right? Are they associated with the military? should probably talk to somebody that is and isn't and see what the differences were for them, because it might give you some insight on what you need to do to be successful, right? One of them has to have at least moved once or twice and had to reset up their business, because that's what you're going to have to do potentially, right? So you need to talk to somebody that has done things differently in every facet, okay? And then be able to say, all right, I can handle this. This is the best, this is the worst. I can get on this train, let's go, right? But you have to commit, and you have to know that when it's time to change and start new relationships or start a new area, you have to be dedicated to putting in that time and really focusing in. And I'll tell you, bonus tip, if you are a mama with young kids, when you are moving to a new area and you have to have nap time and the kids aren't really on a new schedule yet anyways, you stick those kiddos in the car and you go zooming around town. One of the best things that you can do as a realtor anywhere, but especially when you're starting over in a new market, is to drive and drive and drive. You need to know your market. You need to start recognizing the names of major neighborhoods. You need to see where the country clubs are at. You need to see where the YMCA is at. Where are most of the grocery stores? Where's the closest Walmart? Get on the spouses pages. See the places that they say you should go to and you shouldn't go to. Drive by both of them. Understand why. Every time you start going to a local restaurant or a kids meetup or something that you're doing with your family, you need to be checking in, taking a video, spreading the word, showing that you are utilizing things within your community. That has nothing to do with showing houses, does it? Also, are you making 1 to 2, 3 new connections a week at different military bases? Do you have agents all over the United States that you can call and pass business to? That's a huge part of real estate. It's not always about what you do with your client, right? Once again, we all know the one thing we can count on in the military is change. So you need to be prepared for that change for you and anybody else that you might know around you. Okay? So yes, you 100% can get into real estate and be successful. But make sure that you are prepared and ready to take it on. Otherwise, it can be daunting and upsetting and feel like failure. Now, there's a statistic I'm going to tell you. Most realtors do not make it past 3 years in the business. So if you are going to get into real estate, that, my friend, is your goal. That is your commitment. That I will be in real estate for more than 3 years. I am going to be successful. If I make it past that 3-year mark, there is a huge chance that I will be crazy successful, and this will be a beautiful career that I can utilize to support my family anywhere we go. Sound good? 3 years isn't that long. As a military spouse, we know that. 3 years goes by in a blink of an eye and we're packing up and moving on, right? But I'm just telling you, if you can make that commitment to yourself and stick tight with it, get through a transition, you can 100% be successful. And just think about that. Once you have done a transition once and you know what it's like, you know how hard it is, what you did well, what you could improve on, the next time it just gets easier and easier, right? Just like riding a bike. You already have those relationships in queue. You're simply telling them, hey, I'm shifting. This is my market. I am so thankful that you have always thought of me when I was here. Please make me your new point of contact for here. And if you ever have a need back here where I've been, you still pick up the phone and call me and I will get you a great agent. You keep those relationships in queue and you keep anything that they think about with you intact. So for me, I am licensed in South Carolina, Tennessee, and North Carolina, okay? So anybody that knew me from South Carolina or Tennessee, I'm telling them, hey, you still pick up that phone and call me. I'm still licensed in all the states and work them, so it's okay for me, right? But if it's something that I can't do or I can't reach to, then I will absolutely get them the best of the best, right? And Tennessee is a prime example of this, okay? I was on the Kentucky side, right? And I would have agents call me all the time that they needed somebody in Knoxville, Pigeon Forge area, whatever, on the eastern Tennessee side. Not my market. It's like 4 or 5 hours away. But do I have contacts there? You betcha. So I am so thrilled that they picked up the phone and talked to me because they thought Tennessee equals Brittany, right? So that is your job. It's not all about the people right in front of you. It's finding agents everywhere you go, all around the world, and making those relationships and going, I am your person. You call me for this, this, and this. I'll take care of you. Now, if you want to know more about this and how I get started with it and how we set up these areas or ideas of who we should be connecting with, then you should follow me over on Elevated Freedom Training. That platform is going to be all about this. It's about the military niche, having to start your business over, rebuilding your business, and doing it all by referral. It's a beautiful way to work, and I'm so blessed to be in this space and share with you. I look forward to seeing you there and passing along a whole lot more information.